what is probably going to be one of the most fun episodes I've recorded in this damn 6-year history of this loving show with my great friend McGarvin was interrupted because Baker Mayfield decided to open up his little fingers on the internet and basically tweet this out about, because apparently about the whole situation with Stefanski and Mayfield and the failed quarterback situation in Cleveland, and Baker decided to clap back with, failed is quite the reach, pal. Still waiting on a text call from him after I got shipped off like a piece of garbage. Can't wait to see you twice a year, coach. Petty rivalries are back.
Yeah, look, hey, we're never going to be mad at someone getting their get back.
No, not at all. And speaking of get back, the Patriots decided this year to wake up, win a couple of awesome playoff games, and have gotten back to the AFC Championship game for the first time in 7 damn years. It's kind of remarkable.
I mean, who could have seen this coming?
Not me.
Same.
If like I had told you about 4.5 months ago when it was the three of us doing the Pat show at the end of August, which for everyone wondering where she is, guys, she's busy. We're letting her do her thing. If she joins, she joins. But at that time, if you had told us, hey, 14-3, 2 playoff wins, but people would still find a way to write us off, and honestly, I take it. I take the writing off part does bother me to an extent, but at the same time, too, I look at it as let them continue to be disrespectful, because you know what? If they go out there and win Sunday, it's going to flip to, oh, it was a backup quarterback. Oh, it was this. The biggest X factor in this game, honestly, is the fact that Denver's run game was neutralized by the 30th ranked Bills run defense. And now you got 97 to deal with.
Yeah, the whole writing a soft thing, that doesn't really bug me because people are going to have opinions regardless, right? Like there are folks who, no matter what happened, would have had something to say, right? Oh, they got there on an easy schedule. If Bo Nix didn't go down, it'd be, it's because the Patriots just, some other bullshit excuse, right? That's kind of the nature of the beast, right? People are gonna try to discredit you any way you can, way they can. So
McGarvin's having a loving time with technology for those wondering out there today. His mic went on mute during his little tirade. So continue where you were. Oh, you muted yourself again, dude.
Insane. Technology is killing me today. But yeah, people are gonna have their. That comes with the territory. That is what it is. But I think people who watch the games, like if you watch the games hoping to learn a little something, or you watch the games with a critical eye, this isn't really all that surprising, right? Like coming into the playoffs, you knew, all right, cool, we're going to play the Chargers, and anyone who's watched the Chargers and also watched the Patriots kind of came away from that like, they're probably going to win that game because like the Chargers offense isn't that good, right? And it hasn't been that good. But if you haven't watched the games, then it's really easy to get caught up in the names. You can be like, oh, well they have Justin Herbert. And I guess people like their receivers, right? Quentin Johnston. Oh, they have Lad McConkey and Keenan Allen. He's so good, blah, blah, blah. But like anyone who's like actually watched the Chargers play football just kind of knew like, they're not that good. Like they're like not a great offense, right? They have a good quarterback with a broken hand, but like I don't know how anyone watched them play the Texans in I think week 15 or week 16 and walked away feeling like, oh yeah, that was that's a good performance. Like they scored 16 points and it looked like it, right? It wasn't just a score thing. It was like they scored 16 points the hard way. So, it wasn't really all that. Houston, anyone who's watched Houston play, especially over the last month, kind of just knew like, all right, like their defense is stellar, but like their offense, if Nico Collins isn't in the game, it doesn't look right. CJ Stroud has been slumping for a little bit. So you just kind of, I don't know, the result wasn't surprising to me, right? But I think part of it is so many people get all of their football information from people with bigger followings than them, right? Like so big Twitter accounts, or the most egregious is ESPN, right? Like all of their talk shows, people get their information from there. So if the only thing you're seeing is, oh, the Texans defense is like the 85 Bears on crack,
the 2000 Ravens,
6 Bears even, and you're like, okay. And the only conversation coming from the Patriots side is, oh, but look at their strength of schedule look at it's like 3.98 or whatever fucking number it is. I don't actually know it. But it's something like that where they're like, oh, just look at the numbers. Like they haven't played anyone. I'm like, all right, but like, have you watched the games? Like if you watch the games, like walking away feeling like, oh, the Texans are going to win. You know, they're going to just blow them out. It's going to be crazy. It's fucking crazy, right? Because like you go in there and you're like, all right, their defense is good, but like they still have to put an offense on the field, and that's my biggest beef with like a lot of the hagiography of surrounding the Texans coming into that game was like they're like, oh, look at this defense, look at these numbers, we've never seen such a thing, and you're looking and you're like, okay, so their defense is really good. I got that. But they have to put an offense on the field, right? Like, and what does that look like? And no one wanted to say. They're just like, oh, just watch the generational defense. Oh, it's an all-time defense. Which I mean, my God, let's fucking relax. Not everything happening right now is the greatest thing ever. And people are calling that an all-time defense. And I'm like, you think in 2 years we're gonna be sitting around like, oh man, you remember that 2025 Texans defense? Like, no. And that's all due respect to the Texans. Like, they put together a nice little roster over there, but it's not like they're not like killing folks, right? Like, that's not that they haven't been killing folks all year. Like, I don't really know where that came from, but you know how it is. You get to the playoffs, things get amplified, and people were like, yes, it's the greatest defense ever. And so, for them to go out there and, their pass rushers are fucking scary, of course, right? Like, you have Will Anderson on one side, Daniil Hunter on the other, and you're like, well, that is a scary, and Danique Autry, got to give him credit on the interior there. But, you see it and you're like, that's a scary, scary front four to go against, but like, I'm not afraid of their secondary. Like, you could probably throw on the NBA. Like, and that's kind of what we saw, right? Like Drake May, turned it over. He fumbled 4 times again, lost 2 of them or whatever the case is. So like, obviously that was an issue, right? They're like, holy shit, the line is getting there. But when the line wasn't getting there, I was like, they're doing all right. Like they're doing cool. Like, and if that's all your defense is, where you're like, oh, we have a super scary D line, and our corners are so good, and I like their corners, all right, Kamari Lassiter, and Derek Stingley, and they have Jalen Petrie, really more of a safety, but Jalen Petrie as their slot. I like those guys, but like, I don't think you're up all night. Like if you're Josh McDaniels, you're not sitting there like, wow, how are we going to move the ball on those guys? You're kind of like, all right, find number 4 and just kind of throw it at him, right? Because like Derek Stingley is an all pro, right? Like, so you're obviously going to think, maybe don't go that way, even though he has been susceptible, especially on the deep ball. He has been susceptible all year. So you're like, probably not going to go there unless we want to call our shot. But like on the other side, there's Kamari Lassiter. Now, what makes him scary is that guy's aggressive. Like he sees ball, goes for ball. So like, if you're throwing stop routes on him, he's liable to jump him. That's what he does, right? And he's a force a force player in the run game. Like, you feel good about him in the run game. You're like, but at the same time, you're like, I don't know if you get a move and like probably throw it his direction and feel all right. And that is what we saw bear out. Now, of course, he got the golden whistle. I'll tell you what, they were not throwing flags on him, and there were 3 matchups with Kyle Williams in particular. 2 of them, I'm like, for sure, you gotta throw the hanky, brother. Like, you can't do that. And then one of them, I was like, I probably would have thrown it, but I understand if you don't. So he got the golden whistle, and it was like, all right, like, but you can throw on him and feel all right. Like, it wasn't going to be free eats. You weren't like, oh yeah, we're just going to keep throwing on Kamari Lassiter and he's going to give up 180 yards in coverage or something shit like that. It's more like, well, we got to throw the ball. We're not going to not throw the ball. If we're going to throw the ball, throw the ball at 4, and you'll be just all right. Or you find the linebackers. Now, unfortunately, the Patriots couldn't really get into the groove of targeting those linebackers. I know Henry Toto is a favorite of yours, and he's a great downhill player. You just don't really want him in space. So, I thought going in, like, okay, you can probably target him to, pretty decent success. Him and, Azeez Al-Shaair, you feel pretty good, like, I can probably throw at those guys. But the Patriots kept a lot of their backs and tight ends in, or on more delayed routes, just to kind of help with the pass rush situation. So those guys weren't targeted, weren't targeted a ton in coverage, but all the same, you look at the defense, you're like, I don't know, like, they're good, like they're a super terrifying defense, but like a super terrifying front. But they're not like a defense that you're like, I don't know how we're going to move this ball. And we saw the Patriots do that. They scored 21 points on them. Obviously, you had the pick 6 to give it to push it to 28, but they scored 21 legitimate points. Right? It wasn't like anything weird happened, and we're like, oh yeah, because the biggest conversation piece coming out of the game is, oh my God, CJ Stroud threw 4 interceptions, and they were hilarious. But the
He's
Patriots
not
only
what they call
scored on one of
CJ for
those.
right now. Until he proves himself, he is Coleridge Bernard to me.
CJ's a good player, man. I'm sorry, he's a good player. It just he's in a rough patch right now. But he threw 4 interceptions. Patriots scored on one of those, right? The pick 6 to Marcus Jones.
Yep.
On the other 3 interceptions, 0 points, right? So we feel like, oh well, they only won because CJ Stroud threw 4 interceptions. I'm like, right, but that's not where the Patriots scored their points, right? Like the Patriots moved the ball down the field and scored the points that way. Like we don't have to pretend it was more than it was, right? Like it's it's a good defense that gave up points as they have all year, right? It's not like if you think back to November, absolutely no one is like, hey, the Texans are this generational defense. In December, no one's like, hey, this is a generational defense, right? It was like, oh, this is a really good defense. This is probably the best defense in the league. And by all means, if you want to go that way, personally, I think Denver. But if you're like, this is the greatest defense ever, like show me. But that's not who they've been. So I don't know. The conversation coming out of the game is fucking ridiculous, man.
People just jump to way too many conclusions with stuff. But did you know that outside of AFC East South opponents, do you want to know who the last 2 teams the Texans gave up 20 points to? It would be the Arizona Cardinals and the Las Vegas Raiders in back-to-back weeks.
Good for Jacoby. I assume he was the quarterback in that game because it couldn't have been Kyler. So
he went 27 for 40 with 249 yards thrown, 3 touchdowns and a pick. And then against the Raiders, where they won by 2 points, Geno Smith went 16 for 23 with 201 yards, 2 touchdowns and a pick.
Yeah,
he
this is an all-time defense we're talking about. Like Geno's, I mean, all right, whatever. So yeah, good defense. They got top defense in the league. An elite defense. I'll give them that. Like it's a tough unit, but they went out there and.
But when people are putting them up against the 2000 Ravens, the Legion of Boom, the no fly zone Broncos defenses, I'm like that's like it was just a stretch because I think everyone saw even the dumb thing I saw going into this game. I saw one person online who was saying look at Woody Marks last week rushing for 100 yards. I'm like, he's not doing that against the Patriots. It's like, look at how they got for Aaron Rodgers. And you coined the phrase. It was elder abuse. So what the Texans defense did to Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah,
but like
he can't move.
He that's the difference between you're playing a quarterback that's 19 years the elder of the one who was playing Sunday. Has Drake played perfect in these playoffs? No, absolutely not. But he's made plays in critical moments when you've asked him to make a play. And that's still why I'm riding and dying with number 10 as the season goes on. It's one of those things too where now flipping it to the Patriots side of things, and also what I'm going to say to a Toto, by the way, I just like him because every time I feel like there's a play, just, it's right up the middle or like even run to the outside, he's right there waiting to make a hit.
Absolutely.
He's that kind of like, he's got that like look in his eyes where he's like, if I get to you, I'm going to kill you.
He is an excellent player if he is allowed to just go forward. If he is allowed to just play downhill, you feel great about him. Like, you're like, yeah, this guy's the guy. His issue is just when you try to put him in space and you're like, all right, you're just gonna have to like cover this tight end. It's like, it's not really his game. Like you're kind of asking a lot from him, buddy. Like, but he's a good player.
It's just the American, it's a Pacific Islander of just, hey, if you're allowed to run downfield and hit people and just, and you're set, then you're set. But flipping it to the other side, though, and the one thing I feel like that's getting a lot, not disrespect, but no attention, is this Patriots defense, who all year, there's been a lot of question marks. We've questioned the edge depth. I'm sorry, they're getting guys contributing on all sides of the ball, like from the defensive perspective. Linebacker plays improved, which I was going to wait to say this to you tonight. It's still going to be a concern come draft time, and I know, we have a football game to play Sunday. It's never too early to look at the draft. But the man who wears number 7, who's taken way too much shit from this fan base, finally got to give his roses. 2 beautiful interceptions. I'm still waiting for number 0 to get his first, but he's too busy, being a prison guard out there, just locking guys up, just being like, lock, turn the key away and go.
Yep.
To where when I look ahead to Sunday, what's to say this? And I know everyone's going to bring up the narrative to, the Patriots have never won a playoff game in Denver against the Broncos. Brady and Belichick went 0-3 in there, including 2006, which is Brady's first ever playoff loss. 2014, I think they just got their ass beat straight up. And then 2016 is the game that made me hate Derek Wolfe forever. But even this time too, you take the quarterback narrative out of it. I just think Drake's going to get I think honestly Sunday's going to be a game. It's going to I don't necessarily think they're going to lay it on them, but I do think it'll be a little close, but then they pull away towards the end, kind of like how Sunday was. Like first little half, it's kind of on our feet, on our pins and needles, and then they pull ahead. But just when you look at this defense, though, it's just one of those things where even the disrespect parts go even to last week where it was like, oh, Zach, or it was like, it's not even Terrell Williams calling defense, obviously, and we want T to get better. But it's Zach Gore, and it's like all this stuff. And it's like he's been calling the defense pretty much all season. He's been calling it since week 2. And this team, also the other advantage, they're 8-0 on the road this year. They have not lost a road game. And I know I'm saying Denver's a tough place to play, and they're 9-1 at home. They got the belt from Jacksonville in that one loss. And they also, I'm sorry, but for everyone who wants to brag on the Patriots for having an easy schedule, you have to look at the Broncos schedule and realize a lot of the teams they had close encounters with, minus the Raiders, the Patriots put the belt on. So I'm going into Sunday. I'm not scared. And I pray to God that Sunday at around 6 o'clock, we are in a euphoric state of happiness.
Yeah, I feel good about going to Denver, but I've been saying that all year though. Like that's nothing new to me. I've always, the entire year, I've been like, the Patriots can play with anyone. All right.
Yeah.
So like at various points throughout the year, you'll just like read things, especially on the Patriots subreddit. You'll have people who will be like, I'm afraid to play this team. And I'm like, why? Like, what the fuck? Like that that's free eats. Like you're good.
Yeah.
I think people just get like really, dialed in on the good of a team, right? And they're just like, holy shit, like I don't want to play this team because they have a really good blank. And much like I said with the Texans, and like I had with the Chargers as well. And the reason why I didn't care when we played the Bills again, like if we played the Bills again, that would have been absolutely fine. You got to put the other side of the, you got to put the other unit on the field, right? So like with Buffalo, it's more like everyone's like, oh, but Josh Allen, like he's the best quarterback in the league. I mean, and for a minute, let's be here. The conversation around Josh Allen has gotten way out of hand. Like people are just like, oh, unequivocally the greatest quarterback on the planet. And I'm like, Mahomes tore his ACL. He didn't die. Like, what the fuck are we talking about? Like, whatever. But they're like, oh, he's so good. And I'm like, yeah, but he has to put the defense back on the field. Like, he can go out there and score. That's great. But like, the defense has to come back out there, and that's where they're going to be in trouble. Same thing kind of applies to Denver, where everyone's like, oh, their defense is really good. And personally, I subscribe. I think they're the best defense in the league. I think their backers are better than Houston's. I know the numbers don't necessarily bear that out, but I think the backers are better in Denver than they are in Houston. I like their safeties a little more than I like them in Houston. I think that is like the team. And I think their interior rushers are far and away better than the Texans rushers. And again, I gave props to Danico Autry. He's a really good interior rusher. Tommy Togiai had himself a really nice year this year. I mean, that guy was everywhere. But that said, Malcolm Roach and Zach Allen, you're like, these guys are like, holy shit, we have to figure out what to do with them. And then you also now have to figure out what to do with, Nick Benito and Cooper. So, that is
a great line.
That is a scary defense to have to go against, but they have to put an offense on the field. You know what I mean? So I'm like, we'll be all right there. I know Bo Nix is out. But anyone who follows me just knows I'm not. It's Bo Nix. I think he's a fine quarterback. He's very much in that like upper half of the league, right? Like probably like 13, 14-ish range. Like if you're going to rank them, like rank the quarterbacks. My issue with Bo Nix, and the reason like I'll play Bo Nix eight times a year if I gotta. If I'm an NFL team, I'm like, I'll play him. Is that he has his variant is so wild, right? Like he makes these sick plays, and you're like, holy shit! Like this is what they see in Colorado, where they're like, holy shit, this is the guy, right? Because Broncos fans love them some Bo Nix, and more power to him. I hear you. It's just the low end of that when he's not making those wow plays, and he makes the wow plays. Those are the plays where I'm like, yeah, man, I can't buy this fella, because like
there's no middle ground with him.
His low plays are just like way too low. His highs are really good. His lows are just really low. So I'm like, over the course of an hour-long game, right, or a 60-minute game, he's probably going to give you a couple opportunities, right? Like, and I feel good enough about the Patriots defense where I'm like, I don't know if he puts that up. Like, he's probably going to be in trouble on that, right? Because like you look at Denver's skill position.
Yep.
And there's not a name there that you're like, this guy is gonna kill us. they have some guys that you're like, yeah, it'll probably be a little annoying to have to deal with. RJ Harvey is one of my favorite players on that team. I think that guy is like the engine that makes it go. And I'm stunned. He got so few carries in that Bills game, right? Like I believe he and Jaleel McLaughlin, I think they had combined for something like 15 carries or something really, really low where you're like, wow, y'all just decided to X him out the game plan. That's crazy. I think he's a fantastic player. But Evan Ingram in 2026, you're not like, oh no, he's going to kill us. You're not looking at Cortland Sutton like we have no shot. You're not looking at Marvin Mims like we have no shot. Like all of those guys are like good players, right? Like I think they're, they can go off and they can have good games, but you're not looking at those guys like, oh my God, like who is going to cover this guy, right? Because if you're like, oh, who's going to cover Marvin Mims? You're like, Marcus Jones could probably do it and be just all right. Like, we'll be fine there, right? Who's going to cover Cortland Sutton? I mean, Christian Gonzalez and Carlton Davis. I mean, pick your poison. Either one of them can cover him just fine. Who's going to cover little Jordan Humphrey? Like, let's be serious. Let's be entirely serious. The scariest part of their unit, their offensive unit, is their O-line, right? Like, guys are fucking tough. Right?
A bunch of beefy Midwestern farm boys on the offense.
Yeah, McGlinchey's still over there. It's like they have these guys, you're just like
the Notre Dame Iowa offensive line.
It's like the big fellas. Yeah. I think their line is fantastic, and so you worry about the Patriots.
Garrett Bowles on the left
pressure. But I don't know. I feel good about that, right? Like I think the biggest drop off you get with Bo Nix and Jarrett Stidham is that
mobility.
Well, yeah, but I mean, outside of the ability to throw the ball, I think the biggest area they're going to feel it is in what the Patriots throw at them. I think the experience factor is going to be big there because the Patriots are going to throw some things at him that he is just not seen just because he hasn't played a lot, right? Like he's probably seen him in film, obviously, but they're gonna show him some things that he's never like had to physically work through. And I think that's where they're gonna, that's where you're gonna start to find gaps. And I think that's where they're really gonna miss Bo Nix. But other than that, I think even if Bo played, I'd have picked the Patriots. I mean, obviously that's my favorite team, but that aside, I think just looking at the matchup, I'm like, I don't know, I trust the Patriots defense to do more against that Denver offense than the other way around, right? Because you just, even with Drake May in his bad games, right? Like you look at the bad Drake May games, like this past week, people are like, oh, Drake May was terrible. And you look at the numbers, and you're like, I don't know, it wasn't terrible, like wasn't very good, but it wasn't terrible. Versus like if we go out there and have a bad Jarrett Stidham game, do you think it's going to be 16 of 27 for 172 yards, 3 touchdowns and a pick? Like, no. It's probably going to look significantly worse. So, I feel good about that matchup either way. But I felt good about all of the matchups. I don't think there's a single team that, even in, as we go to the Super Bowl, it's not a single team in the league where I'm just like, oh, the Patriots have no shot here. My personal take is I think Seattle's like the best team in the league because I think their defense is disgusting. And their run game can absolutely work you. However, Zach Charbonnet just went out. And as much as fantasy, the fantasy shamans hate it, I think having him and Ken Walker gives them so much versatility in what they can execute.
Yep.
So, people are like, oh, well, he's not better than Ken Walker. And I'm like, I hear you, but I agree. I absolutely agree. It's a little different though when Kenneth Walker has to do it all by himself, right? Like he's not getting those nice cushy, like, all right, he took a few plays off. Zach got in there and handled some of the tough carries, and Ken can just come out here, run a little outside zone, hit a cut, and take it 82 yards. Like that's a little different if he's also eating up those low calorie, as I like to say, those low calorie carries, right? Where it's almost like the situation that people, earlier in the season where people were like, oh, Travion Henderson needs to play more. And I'm like, I simply don't think so. Not only is he not that good as a runner at this point, right? I think he's going to evolve, right? As a consistent, like down to down runner, he's not quite there yet. He just doesn't see the field as well when there's traffic. Like if the blocking isn't perfect, it's just not going to be there. And we saw that on Sunday. But more importantly,
way too quick to write off Ramondre.
Well, yeah, I mean, people already had their opinions on Ramondre anyway. Going back to last year, so and funny aside on Ramondre, it's so funny hearing people talk about him because they'd be like, "Oh, he's good now," but at the beginning of the year, he just kept fumbling, and I'm like, he fumbled 3 times. Like, is that a lot? Like it's way more than it's more than you want, but like people are talking about him like he was out there like Stephen Ridleying it. Like let's let's kind of calm down. But back to Henderson, I think it was the same situation where people were like he needs to get more carries, and I'm like, he is not the kind of back that's going to like wear a team down. So when you're like he needs to get more carries, my immediate thought is for what, right? Like he's not the one that you need to be handing off like, hey, it's 3rd and 3, let's hand it off to hand it off to Henderson, and then on 1st and 10 hand it off to Henderson, and then on 2nd and 7 hand it off to Henderson. Like these are low calorie carries. Like they're not going to do anything for him, knowing that his biggest asset right now is his home run ability. That's not served by running him into a fresh D line and on 2nd and 7. So Ken Walker's is a similar situation where I think he's better served having himself a little, someone who can take the pressure off, and he's not forced to, he's not the kind of guy you want to end the game with like 25 carries. I think you're asking a lot because I think he can do it. I just think you're neutering his efficiency.
Yeah, and also while you were talking, I decided to look up just like the metrics from Saturday's game. Like McLaughlin had 4 rushes for 21 yards. Harvey was 6 for 20, averaging 5.3, 3.3, and then obviously best rusher for them was Bo Nix at 12 attempts for 29 yards. And even fun fact of the day, their best receiver was held to under 100 yards in that game with Marvin Mims at 93, Sutton at 53. Humphrey literally had 2 receptions for 33, and then Evan Ingram 1 catch for 7 yards the entire game. But the best catch was obviously Frank Crum, 1 catch for 7 yards at a tutty.
Tight end 1, baby.
Everybody loves a thick 6. But no, obviously this Patriots team, like every team has their warts and their merits, but like I feel like for a lot of these teams in the playoffs, those warts, if the truly bad teams, got exposed heavily in the playoffs. Like if you look at what happened to Pittsburgh, you look at what happened to the Chargers, Philadelphia. Another great example too would be Green Bay, where it's just like your negatives. If your negatives outweigh your positive throughout the season, you're getting by, it's going to get outweighed. Denver, there's a completely different conversation from Saturday. Has Dawson Knox make that catch? He makes that catch. We're not realizing that organization's headed down a slippery slope you and I are not exactly mad about into the fiery depths of hell in that brand new stadium. But you already should know what it is. The other big thing too, just with Denver, yeah, I'm going to say this, target Riley Moss, whether Matt Collins, Keyshawn Boutte, go to Riley Moss. He draws the most pass interference calls in the league because you have PS2 on the other side, who is the reigning defensive player of the year. He's awesome, but at the same time,
best corner in the league, baby.
Best corner in the league. You're Alabama.
This game is going to feature the 2 best corners in the league. I think that's so exciting.
Oh, absolutely. I really think because I know last week everyone was saying, and I know guys, I don't have the ticker up right now. Like it's still too early in the week. But right now the over under for this game is at 42.5. And I think there's a world where the defensive battle everyone thought we were going to get for the Patriots and the Texans game is going to happen for Patriots and Broncos. Like, I don't think this is going to be that, like, explosive game. Like, I don't want to put a score on it so far, but I can't see a world even too where, the Broncos put 33 on the Patriots like they did the Bills last weekend. Even honestly, when I look at the other game, like the NFC Championship, I have no idea who's going to win that game. That honestly is such a coin flip to where I'm like, it's either side of the coin on that one. I'm leaning Seattle, but I've been seeing a lot of people lean LA just because, it's Matt Stafford. It's the MVP year. They've been finding ways to do it. I'm sorry. I stopped believing in them as a playoff contender when you basically slept walk your way through that wild card game and relied on Bryce Young, turning back into a pumpkin on that very last drive of the game. But no, just going back to our game and our season as a whole. The other thing I got to point out too, and I've been seeing, more than him because he's been hurt all year, is the wife of Antonio Gibson basically posting videos online asking the Texans how Tulum is, and just her like ruthlessly just be like, all right, Texans, ask Tulum. But I even think about him though, to where I'm like, okay, so then going into next year, where does he fit in the offense? Like, do you run 3 running backs? Do you use them in special team situations? I do think there's going to be a different dynamic, but one other thing I want to start looking at with this team is being happy for certain guys. You know who I'm really happy for this entire time?
Who?
Hunter Henry.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
And
I
that's
know
not
it's
who
I
I
know
was
it's weird.
expecting.
I know it's weird,
Is
but
it
you got
because
to
he was
think about though,
around
like the
at
fact
the
too
end
that
of Bill?
he was here for the end of Bill, and he could have left when the times were getting really rough, but he decided to stay and stick it out. And those guys seeing the fruits of their labor, seeing the 23 draft class, which we thank Bill for. Everyone can slack on Bill's drafting. That 23 draft class is a beautiful parting gift, except for Keon White and Chad Ryland. Like I could obviously say, yeah, I'm happy for Drake, but and I texted you about this, but the Patriots are just getting healthier at receiver because guess who's gonna probably be playing Sunday? I didn't realize this too. He was on the sidelines on Sunday. Everyone's favorite barefooted wide receiver, Mac Hollins. So there's all that. And then even did you see that Morgan Moses allowed 0 pressures Sunday, by the way?
I did see that. I don't know. It's interesting because the pressure in question falls on May because he kind of drifted. But he did allow the first strip sack. So like, I mean, he was the one blocking, Daniil Hunter during, when he got the first strip sack. So but he played a great game. Like he's a good player.
Him, and then like obviously I know there's a lot of flack, especially for Will Campbell right now, just because he's been playing a little iffy and stuff.
Oh, he's not playing well.
Yeah, he's not playing well.
He is not playing well.
But I gotta give it though. Mike's been playing well though. Like I feel like he's in that position where you're not hearing him, you're not hearing his name, you're not really noticing him. Like when I feel like offensive linemen kind of like blend.
Oh, I notice him.
Oh,
that guy. Oh boy, he is a fucking monster in the run game. On that last drive, the second to last drive when the Patriots took 6 minutes off the clock, when they started inside their own 5, and they they just ran duo 3 plays in a row, and you're like, on every one of those plays, I'm just like, goodness gracious, 71 is mauling folk out there. Like he's just running dudes over, and you're like, holy cow. He is fantastic. Really strong bounce back year from him after last year where they kind of had him a little bit all over the place, had playing out a tackle, and turned in what I thought was the worst year of his career playing tackle. I was like, that was tough. But this year, I mean, him and Morgan Moses on that right side, those guys can get some serious combo blocks.
That's the thing though, because if you can have the one side of the line be good, you're okay. I just think from Campbell and Wilson, I think they're kind of getting there, I don't want to say welcome to the NFL moments, but I think we have to remember too that Will was out for a period of time. Wilson's been dealing with some stuff to where it's just as long as you don't make a bad play in a critical moment that costs them the game, I think it's going to get by. But starting to see some people, where it's like, why did we draft Campbell 4th overall? And I'm like, it's going to be fine. Like, it's going to be okay. But I'm going to switch gears because you know how we always say you got to something that our divisional neighbors need to understand. If you have to draft well, how about a guy like Craig Woodson? Day 3 pick, nice interception. How about, I don't know, 2022 Marcus Jones pick 6? I'll be honest with you, I said that because when I said for you take time off and rest, and she wanted you to have a flu game show. She did, not me. I basically said for that Chargers game, my X factor was going to be Marcus Jones because I said he can play the slot, but he can also be a little jitterbug and be everywhere. And I feel like that's all he's been this entire playoffs,
Yeah, had himself a strip sack. So, I mean, the thing with Marcus Jones is coming out. I know he was a 3rd round pick, but that's only because he was 5'8". If he was 5'10", that's a easy 2nd rounder. If he was 6 foot, that's an easy 1st rounder. Like the tape was really good, the speed is really good, the versatility is really good. You just look at a guy like that, and I'm not unbiased here. I fucking love Marcus Jones. I've loved him literally since day one. Went down to the first open practice the year he was drafted, and I was just looking. I'm like, that guy can move. Like he's just fluid. And then you look at what he's done, right? Like in his career, like we're talking about a slot cornerback who has 9 touchdowns in his career. 9 touchdowns. Like he's a starting cornerback, bro, and he has 9 touchdowns. Obviously, you have 4 of those on special teams, right? But think about how crazy that is. Just 4 on special teams, 1 on offense, and 4 on defense. Like that's crazy. Like that's crazy production from a slot cornerback. He's 5'8", right? Like, and I remember when he signed his extension, I was like, holy shit, hell yeah, like lock him in and all that. And there were people who immediately right after that, because he signed his extension right after the Cleveland game, and then we played Atlanta, and he gave up the 2 touchdowns to
Drake,
the big fella, Drake London, and everyone's like, oh, that extension's not quite worth it now. I'm like, all right, like if that's your bar, if him giving up 2 touchdowns to a guy who's like legitimately half a foot taller than him, then so be it. But like that is a great player, and it's really gonna pay dividends to get him where you're at. And then for him to just turn around and turn in the year that he has had, like forced fumbles, interceptions, fumble recoveries, like this is a guy that like and pass breakups, like this is someone who's not just around because he's a special teamer, like he's around because he's like a really good slot corner. You're just like, all right, you just 25s out there, and you're just like, you feel good about that, right? So like when we talk about Denver, and I think they're wide receiver wise, Marvin Mims is probably the player who can give you the most issue because of his agility, right? And on top of that agility, he has legit downfield speed. So he's a guy you're like, but then you think about it, and you're like, Marcus Jones is there though, so you're probably gonna be all right because he's a good corner, right? So I mean, my goodness, that guy is incredible. He should have had 3 interceptions on Sunday. One went right off his hands. I was like, he could have had that. And then he almost had a fumble, or had a would-be fumble recovery if they didn't rule that the hand was going forward on CJ Stroud's. He had an incomplete pass that the ball came like right down. He got hit and the ball came right down. And Marcus Jones recovered that, and then they signaled incomplete, which was on my radar because there was that first Ravens Steelers game where Lamar Jackson had the same thing happen, where he's going forward and the ball comes and then just slips out of his hands and goes right down. And they ruled that a fumble. And it's like, dang, bro, I thought that was incomplete. So seeing that, I was like, oh yes, Marcus Jones got another one. And they're like, nah. And I was like, come on, man.
It's just literally getting compliments from every single piece of the defense. That's where I think it's really coming to play. Even I know you've been critical of Christian Ellis, but he's a guy out there where like, hey, you give him
a really good second half of the year.
He's playing really well the second half, getting Robert Spillane back, getting Harold Landry back. Having 97 and 90 going up the middle, even though 90 does have some off-field issues, which we'll probably find out more in once the season ends. But the fact that I didn't realize this until after the game, but the Marcus Jones pick 6 was started. Obviously, you have the Harrison Bryant falling in. Basically, Milton Williams pushed his lineman back, which bumped into Harrison Bryant, which then caused CJ Stroud to panic because I'm pretty sure he was trying to hit Bryant open in the flat. Stroud throws the untimely pick. Marcus Jones gets it. Boom, crib call. And even going back to the offense, just something as simple as, I tweeted it whenever, I honestly say this too, because you have a lot of funny stuff that I retweet, but if you retweet me, that's how I'm like, I got him to crack. I'm good. And when I said, hey, they needed one and they got a house call. Just little plays like that. Little plays like that, little plays like that. Just between, Demario Douglas, between Stephon Diggs, which I still say this. I feel like Douglas is a guy that come this offseason, they're just going to give him a contract and he'll probably take it. I just don't see him like commanding big money. I think he's just going to sign for what he thinks he's worth. But we've talked about this before, but what do you do with 9? Obviously we have the good number 9.
You probably extend him, right? Like
I feel like you have to at this point.
I think you're fine extending him. Because more than anything, it's and again, I've beaten the drum on Kayshon Boutte for a while on the fact that like last year I didn't think he was that good. Like I think he had a good year, but I didn't think like he wasn't a guy where I was like, oh man, like Boutte's gonna really do something here. It's more just like, all right, like he's opportunistic and on an offense that has literally no one else doing anything worth anything.
Yes.
This year, and he mentioned it in the lead up to his Texans, to the Texans game. His biggest addition to his toolbox is that he's just been more physical. Like he's not a small guy. Like he's a thick fella. Like that is a strong man. So like you watch him play and he plays with a physicality, a play strength to him that you're like, well, this will just work. Like he doesn't necessarily need to run away from guys, and that's not his game anyway, but like he gets to that top of the route, he gonna give you a little shoulder, and you are gonna back up a little bit. You know what I mean? You're gonna give him a little room to operate. And we saw him do that, like, and we've seen him do it all year, and that's really what made him such a good deep threat, is that he's able to fight through contact and run past dudes after, once we're down the field, right? Because he doesn't have, run away from the speed, but he has build up speed. And so we see, his deep shots were just mostly a product of, they're coming down, they're trying to put hands on him, they're trying to jam him, and he's just, fighting through the jam, going upfield, and now all of a sudden, like, you're in a foot race, and at the point of attack, he'll make that catch. And he makes really good adjustments to the ball. I think he's just someone you extend and you don't even think about it, right? And then on top of all that, I think he's still 23 years old, right? Like, not necessarily the player that you just want to, like, he's a productive player who has rapport with your quarterback, who is 23 years old.
Yes.
It just kind of makes sense to hang, like, why wouldn't you just extend him and just be on your way with that? Especially because it's not like you have anyone else in that role that you're like, oh, but we have to get this guy snaps, because him and Kyle Williams don't play the same position. So I think you extend him and you just, move on. As far as Pop Douglas goes, I think you extend him. I don't know. I think you could wait and let him play out the final year of his deal.
Yeah.
And then,
I think you present him with something like towards the sometime early in the offseason, maybe like around the combine, it should be like, hey, this is something we're going to offer you. And then it's up to him, hey, yeah, I'll take it. No, I'll bet on myself. Not breaking news so much, but news about obviously, look, when we played the Chargers, we forced them to fire their offensive coordinator. And all signs point to Mike McDaniel becoming the next OC in LA for the Chargers.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's all I got. Cool.
I just saw it, so I was just like, I'll track and stuff like that. No deal has been signed, but basically, he's OC job. He wants to be with Justin Herbert. So, like you said, cool.
I think it's gonna be fun. It'll probably look pretty good. Cool. Good for Justin Herbert. He finally, he's free. He's free of Greg Roman, so shout out to him for that. I guess the reason I'm not super hyped about it is because what Jim Harbaugh wants to do and what Mike McDaniel likes to do don't coalesce, right? Like, Jim Harbaugh wants to, like, line up. We got a fullback out there. We might have two. We got a jumbo tight end. Like, we're gonna run this bitch.
We're gonna run it and punch you in the mouth.
Yeah, and Mike McDaniel's like, we're gonna run away from you, and we're gonna target some matchups, and we're gonna use our skill to beat you. And I don't know, like, I'm curious to see how it works. I'm, like, excited about it. I think Omarion Hampton's probably gonna have himself but I think that guy is, I think regardless of who they hired at OC, that guy is a fucking problem. He is a problem waiting to happen. That guy he is an incredible running back. And I just wish he wasn't injured, especially, towards the end of the year there, because I think he's someone who could be like the real deal. So I'm curious to see how that looks. But up until this year, Miami never really found themselves a run game, like a consistent, like, here's what we're going to do. It was mostly just Devin Achane, just,
being explosive, like just
like
getting in space and being like
and then just goodbye. I'm just gonna run away from you. So I'm curious to see how it works, but I don't care. That's fine.
I don't know what I'm more curious about, that or Drew Uncle Fester Petzing going to Detroit from Arizona, where there's a lot of flack from him leaving Arizona, to where I'm just like, are we sure this is the right hire for Arizona? Like, I understand McDaniel probably being like, you know what, hey, I have a job. I don't like, there's no pressure. Like, I'll be an OC. If I do well here, someone will give me another chance to head coach. Meanwhile, Petzing, I think it's more about rebuilding his reputation. There's a lot of stuff there to be excited about. It's just, it's a hire. Detroit's got it. They got it. Detroit, I think there's more pressure to nail the hire than there is with the Chargers.
I think Petzing was coaching from a handicap. I do not think they had the goods in Arizona. I dropped the pretext. I didn't like the quarterback situation. So, like, Kyler Murray didn't run the offense within the structure of the offense. And Jacoby just didn't have the physical tools to execute the offense, even though he ran it on time. So I think I'm looking forward to seeing how it looks with Goff, who will keep the offense on time. And when I say on time, I mean the biggest issue with Kyler Murray is that's not he he really majored in anyway, right? He was always more like a I'm gonna hit the open guy. If he's not there, I'm gonna create a little space for us to make a play late in the down. So he wasn't getting the ball out on time, and we saw when Jacoby came in. And I think Jacoby just ran the offense better, but he's Jacoby Brissett, right? He's just like a limited player. So you're like, it looks better in terms of like hitting the concepts. Like he's throwing to the right guys. It's not that explosive because like he's not the kind of thrower who is going to throw you into an explosive offense. So I'm curious to see with Jared Goff, because Jared Goff can do that, right? Because he can play within the structure, he can play with good timing, he plays with good rhythm, and he can also get the ball to where it needs to go. I don't know. I'm curious to see how that looks. I'm curious to see what happens with the run game, though. That's what I really want to know. Like, what does it look like with Jahmyr Gibbs? I'm almost positive David Montgomery won't be back. So what does it look like, with Jahmyr Gibbs as the guy in that offense?
Yeah, because I had the same thoughts as you. I do think David Montgomery, one way or another, will find his way out of Detroit, and I don't think that's just like everyone's saying, "Oh, got to bring back Sonic and Knuckles," and I'm like, you can just have Sonic. You can have Sonic and be fine.
I think he's gone. I think it's a similar situation to Jamal Williams a few years ago, where he was obviously great in Detroit, but at the same time, I don't know how many running backs want to be part of a committee. I think there are a lot of running backs who will be part of a committee who will be like, all right, yep, I'm going to come in and we're going to split the carries, 60-40 or 70-30. I don't know how many guys are signing up for that. So I think, we're here now with David Montgomery. I think he's absolutely going to be gone. He's going to go somewhere. He's going to go somewhere where he can be the guy.
I also didn't realize this too. I thought he was going to be a potential trade or cut candidate. He is a free agent, so he's free to go wherever the heck he wants.
Cool.
I was going to say this is a hard conversation, but it's not. Look, the last 72 hours have been wonderful for if you hate the Buffalo Bills, but I'm starting to think with this organization, and besides the firing of the head coach, like it's like when you texted me about it yesterday, I was just like, hey, I'm kind of shocked they did it. I had a feeling it could happen. I thought it would have been a wild card loss. I thought a divisional round loss was enough to, hang on for it. But the more I look into it and the more the reactions start to flow in, it seems like Bean basically just threw McDermott under the bus.
Yeah.
And was just like, he doesn't get to sit in the skybox with the owner every Sunday. Yep. I get to sit with you. So here's what he did bad. This is what I'll do good. And I'm not saying they need to nail obviously they need to nail the hire because they're in a Super Bowl window. My only thing with them is
Let me stop you right there, buddy. You can't. I don't know that I've ever heard of a team still being in a Super Bowl window with no coach. Like they have no coach. They have 17, and that's great. He is a phenomenal player, easily. But we can't just assume the next guy's going to come in and like the window's still open as long as we have 17. And people love to say that as long as we have 17, the window's open. You have no coach.
Like how Giants fans are saying that we're next year's Patriots.
Oh God.
Like John Harbaugh's on that note. John Harbaugh is a good coach. I just don't like how Giants fans are like, saying this. I'm like, okay, you got to nail free agency. You got to get guys in the draft more than day one to contribute. And when I say that with Buffalo, I'm saying Super Bowl in that window in the sense of they'll be a competitive team and they'll probably be in the playoffs. Maybe. We don't know. Weird things have happened. I just don't like how for them and obviously, look, if they do this, they do this. I won't care. But just hiring guys because they have a history with Josh or something like that, I just don't think sits right, where it's, hey, like, oh, we're going to go get Brian Daboll. And I'm like, okay, what did Brian Daboll do with New York that inspired anything? Nothing. That's why he got fired. Davis Webb, the pass game coordinator, because he was a backup for Josh in Buffalo. I'm like, cool. If you want to have a shot at rebuilding this, because let's be honest with you, they're probably going to host Sunday Night Football one of the first 3 weeks of the season. And I'm only saying that because they have a shiny new building to show off. I look at them and I honestly think that there's a unsuspected disappointment that's coming that I don't think a lot of the fans are ready for. I'm very interested to see because apparently Pagula and Bean are meeting with the media tomorrow morning. So I'm very interested to see, you know, what quotes come from that. But besides that, I just look at this team right now and you said in your tweet, you know, where you're like, oh, that stand up for Buffalo graphic had something coming. I wonder if the more emotional of like, you know, seeing what Deion Dawkins was crying about, Josh Allen's upset about, if they had a sense this was coming, or is it just, you know, the weight of everything hitting you at once and it sucks?
Okay, so I think it was probably both, right? Like they kind of knew like we might be out, and we heard, you know, we read reports that this wasn't a surprise for McDermott, right? This wasn't like something he didn't think was in the realm of possibility. So I think if he knew it, the players aren't stupid, right? As much as, you know, players love to be like, we ignore the noise, we don't, you know, look at media, all that. They're all very plugged in. I'm sure, you know, they know, like they knew this was a possibility, and you know the way that game ended, you know, he's out. And I don't necessarily mind that he was fired as a Patriots fan. I think his situational football coaching was just abysmal, and that's, you know, the biggest reason they haven't, you know, advanced in the playoffs. In my, you know, from an offensive standpoint, and you know, details like, again, this is the coach who allowed the defense to, you know, give it, you know, to get to give up a game time field goal in 13 seconds, right? Like, and you know that I know that there's you know talk that, oh, there was a miscommunication with Tyler Bass, the kicker, and he was supposed to squib it, not, you know, not go deep and all that. But then, you know, they're playing, you know, 9 yards off the ball on that drive the entire way down the field, and Kansas City is just fucking killing them. And it's like, okay, I guess this, you know, this is poor situational football coaching. Same thing we saw on Saturday when, you know, 16 seconds left, you have no timeouts, you're at your own 30, let's call a play, as opposed to just kneeling the ball and taking it to halftime, and you gave up 3 points, and those 3 points matter because you lost the game by 3 points, right? Like, so it's just poor situational coaching is the reason he's out. But their roster's not good, right? Like, no one wants to say it because they have, you know, they have Josh Allen, so like you'll be like, oh, it's a good team. You know, people just default like, oh, by default, it's a good team. They have Josh Allen, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I guess, but like, Mecole Hardman was counted on to make real plays for them. Like, they're in a playoff game, and Mecole Hardman's out there alongside, you know.
Oh, he ran the same route as he did in the Super Bowl. Okay,
right,
great.
right. Gabe Davis would have been out there if he didn't tear his ACL. You know, Terrell Shavers, great story, but you know, he's a 26-year-old former UDFA. Finally got his first shot. He looked pretty decent and tore his ACL. He's out as well. And so people are like, oh, it's the penalty. You know, it's the injuries. It's the injuries. I'm like, no. Listen to me. If at any point in your season you're like, hey, we need Mecole Hardman, Elijah Moore, and Gabe Davis to like step up for us,
and Brandon Cooks,
you're in a bad situation. Now, Brandon Cooks is a little different because he can still, you know, he can still get down there. But you needed Brandon Cooks to force his way out of New Orleans, right? Because like, think about what the last half of their season looks like if New Orleans is like, we're not going to release you, or we're actually going to go ahead and trade you instead of, you know, putting you on waivers and allowing you to, you know, get, you know, go where you want to go, which is what happened, right? They even restructured the contract to make it more palatable to do so. He had a place he had wanted to go. He got waived. The next day he signed to Buffalo. So you're like, all right, cool. He already knew he was going to go to Buffalo, but how does it look if New Orleans is like, we're just not going to do that, and we're not going to, you know, let you just go to Buffalo, right? We're now talking about like, Keon Coleman is going to have to like, he's going to have to get out there. Like, because the biggest thing that the addition of Brandon Cooks did is that it allowed the team to kind of move off of Keon Coleman, right? Where they were like playing him out of pure necessity. They're like, he just has to be out there because like our other guys suck or are hurt, right? Curtis Samuel missed a good chunk of the year. It's not a good receiving group. Dalton Kincaid was in and out of the lineup as he does. Dawson Knox, for whatever reason, they just don't think he's very good. I like that guy, but Dawson Knox, for whatever reason, just isn't that good. Khalil Shakir is one of my favorite players on that team, and they just simply don't let him run down the field anymore. So that sucks. It's just they got some real issues. And then you look at their their D line, right? They drafted 3D linemen in the first 3 rounds. They drafted 3D linemen in the first 4 rounds this past draft. And you look at it, and they didn't do a thing pressure wise against Denver, right? Like not a thing, and they didn't really do much pressure wise against Jacksonville either. To that point, so it's just like not a good roster. They have some serious deficiencies. They were counting on Shaq Thompson, right? Who came over after getting cut from Carolina, and by the end of the year, he was their best linebacker, and that's not an exaggeration. He was their best linebacker. Matt Milano, I mean, when he's been on the field, he's been all right. He hasn't been the same guy. And then you have Terrell Bernard, who he just hasn't been on the field a ton. So again, people are going to point to injuries, but again, we're looking at a roster that's like not that good. Jordan Poyer, right? He came back, he signed to the practice squad, and then got elevated, and then signed to the active roster, and then just played a bunch of games for them. He was a starter for them. And it's like, yes, but this is like 82-year-old Jordan Poyer, and he's the guy that you're like, we need this guy to be one of our safeties. Like that's crazy. It's not a great roster. All that to say, it's not a great roster. And I just don't understand how Brandon Beane just skates on that. And not only did he skate, he got a promotion. I mean, godly, I fucking wish. I should go work for the Bills.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm looking at even their free agency list, and I'm like Matt Milano, free agent. They have Daquan Jones, free agent. 2 offensive linemen, and Connor McGovern and David Edwards, both free agents. So it's just like that's why I say that, because you know how a lot of people are starting to point this out, the fact that Brandon Beane's only drafted 2 All-Pros, except for Josh Allen, or 2 Pro Bowlers. Sean McDermott did the 2017 draft on his own, and in that draft got Matt Milano, he got Deion Dawkins, and he got Tre'Davious White. Obviously traded the pick for Patrick Mahomes.
Doug Whaley was still there, right, when they drafted?
I believe so.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe so.
And then they fired him right after.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I see a world with Buffalo where a lot of them over the last few years have always been like, oh, this is awesome. We're here. We get to experience this. And obviously, look, we haven't been in a drought like they have. And there's a lot of people out there right now saying, what devil voodoo magic does Robert Kraft pull every year? I say this. He's an owner that wants to be held accountable, and he's an owner that demands results. That's why he's been the most successful owner in the NFL over the last 30 years. With Terry Pegula, there's a path where the hockey team that plays about half an hour north of where they do has been the most dysfunctional hockey team for the last 15 years. They're the New York Jets, literally have the same playoff streak as the 2 of them. Jets have the longest streak. Bills come in and tie it 3 months later. I'm not saying they're back towards that relative mediocrity, but when you look at what's ahead of you, you got to deal with us again. You got Denver. You got LA. Kansas City, I'm still eager, which they quietly hired Bieniemy, but I don't know if what you got from Eric Bieniemy the first go-around is going to be the same thing as now. And you're already shaking your head, so I'm going to agree with you. Jacksonville, you're going to have Houston. Indy, I want to say yes, but I have no idea. I really, really do think that for Indy, if this year it all doesn't go well, Chris Ballard finally gets fired, because I don't have a vendetta against him. I just think he's a very overrated general manager.
He's terrible. That guy is fucking terrible. I mean, he just traded 2 first-round picks for Sauce Gardner, and I like Sauce Gardner, I really do. But they don't have a quarterback. Like, and that was something they knew. Like, even before Sauce Gardner got hurt, or even before Daniel Jones got hurt, they didn't have a quarterback under contract going into next year outside of Riley Moss, right? And then you look at just some of the stuff they did, right? Like, I was so invested in the Phillip Rivers storyline, because I think it's so fucking funny, dude.
It was nice until the Chargers whooped their ass.
Holy cow.
And then the Chargers, it was nice until the 49ers whooped them.
On field, it looked the same the entire time. He just looked like a guy who just didn't have any zip on the football. Like, he made the right reads, because that part of the game's still there. And if he was allowed to loft the ball up there, he was able to loft the ball up there. But when he needed to make a tight window throw, ball was just taking ages to get there. And that Seattle game, they were breaking on everything. The minute the ball came out, they're breaking on it. I'm like, yeah, he looks like an old man, and he was. But then you think about how this guy fucking survived hiring Jeff Saturday. Jeff Saturday was their coach. He was their fucking coach, dude. And I'm like, this guy survived that. That's insane to me. That is so fucking crazy to me. But to have no quarterback, under contract outside of, your Riley Leonard, who, you thought so highly of, that you brought 88-year-old Phillip Rivers out of retirement. And then give up your next 2 first-round picks is crazy to me.
Yeah.
Right? Crazy. Because you now you don't have a quarterback and you have no path to one. Because it's one thing if you have no quarterback. That's fine. If you have a path to a quarterback, though, you can kind of make it happen. But, like, where are they getting a quarterback? They won too many games, right? Like, what's the plan here? We're just going to Riley Leonard and just hope he doesn't reek. Like, I don't know. I can't believe that guy still has a job. That is good work if you can get it. Maybe I should go work for Indy.
Like, do you pick, like, what do you do with it? Like, obviously with Anthony Richardson, you're not picking up the 5th-year option on him. You whiff there. And then, like you say too, they're probably gonna lose Alec Pierce to free agency. Jonathan Taylor's a very, wish-washy. Like, I remember the first month of the season, it was him or Drake May for MVP. It was one of those two where it's just like, oh, look at these guys. They're playing awesome. And then they just fall off a cliff. And then to finish my point from earlier, Baltimore's still going to be relevant. Pittsburgh will still mess around and find a way to be, they're not, I'm not saying they're going to be good, but I don't think they're going to be terrible. Because I still think for Pittsburgh, there's either one of two ways to go about this. You either run it back and do the same thing you've been doing for 10 years, or you burn it to the ground. And I don't think Pittsburgh's an organization that's just going to burn it to the ground for nothing.
Nope. They're going to hire Mike McCarthy, and they're going to be about 9-8.
Yep. And then get their ass kicked in the wild card game. And then last but not least, you have the Cincinnati Bengals, who I really think are in a year where if it does not go to plan, Joe Burrow's gone and they're rebuilding. I just don't. And which I still say this. I know he had that little, like, what was, like, feel bad for me press tour after, where he was talking about being depressed and all this, like, sucks. You levied to get both your wide receivers paid. You didn't need to do that. Only one of them deserved to get paid. I think you should have still let Higgins walk or just, bitch about being on the franchise tag. And now you're the Bengals. You made your bed. You got to lay in it, pal. So
they need a better coach.
Yeah. And I love everyone there too, where it's just like, okay, we lost the Jets. How was he not fired? And I'm just like, their owner is so frugal that if someone's getting paid, they're not going to fire him. Zach Taylor's got one more year left on his deal. If they do not do anything next year, he's walking peacefully. That's just what I think happens there. So it just goes full circle for Buffalo, where I named 3, 5, 6, 7, 8. I named half the teams in the damn conference. Like, obviously, there's some that we don't know. Like, even though Miami, I do think they are going to reek this year. But you still are always going to have those, like, couple of teams that just surprise you and come out of nowhere, to where it's just, if you're Buffalo, you really have to be on your P's and Q's next year, because for everyone saying, oh, the Patriots schedule is easy, the Bills had just as easy of a schedule, and even next year the schedule is going to be harder. Buffalo's second place matchups are literally Houston, who Josh Allen has never beaten in Houston in his career, Baltimore, the Rams, on top of playing the AFC West and the NFC North. So tough sliding ahead for the Mafia.
Good.
Yeah.
Maybe their fan base can shut the hell up.
Yeah, tell me about
That'd be a welcome sight.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just it's the fact that it went from, and on the note too of the whole stuff of Saturday of, is it a catch, is it not a catch? When it happens against us, oh, it's not a catch. It was the right call. No foul and pass interference too. When it happens to them, they're getting screwed. It's never the accountability of, oh, Josh Allen playing hero ball. Oh, it's 13 seconds. Last year, it's, oh, this happened. It's wide right. Even though the one 2 years ago created a meme, you and I bonded over as friends. Just the guy, where it's just,
yeah. The guy.
I wonder how he's
probably having a tough day. He's probably somewhere having a tough day. Yeah.
Not us though, because guess where our team's playing? Oh God.
Yeah, we're in the championship game, and the Bills have no coach. Life is good.
Life is good. But with the Patriots, though, on that note, just to bring it around full circle, I always said going to this playoffs, that's house money. Part of me is ready to kick that narrative in the teeth and just say, no, it's not. Go win the damn thing. But there is a world that, say, if they don't end up winning the Lombardi or if they lose Sunday, because I've always had a weird opinion that throughout all the years of watching Brady football, that losing the AFC Championship game hurt just a little bit more than losing the Super Bowl, and people are going to think I'm crazy. But one is, you're on the door knocking to get there. one you can at least hang your hat on. We got there. This year, though, I don't think that's the case. I really think that no matter where they lose this year, it's going to be equally as painful because the deeper you get into the playoffs, the more painful it is. But with this team, though, I really do think that if they even get to a Super Bowl, there's no more excuses to be made. You can say what you want about the Jared Stidham stuff. You can say what you want about Drake winning or not winning MVP. Even though a month ago I was saying it is Stafford's. No, it is Drake's now. He is 14-3. He won the division. Had it not been for a game against Vegas, which I still say I will trade that Vegas loss for 2 playoff wins any day of the week. I just really think this is a team built for success. And and here's the other kicker too with this team. They got money to spend this offseason. It's not like $100 million like the Titans got. It's still $50 million, and they got some housekeeping work to do. But you know what? This is a team that's built to compete, and I don't think people are ready to admit that. I think there's going to be a lot of people writing them off for next year, but I'm looking at next year, and I'm like, I think they're easily going to be an 11-12 win team.
With the Patriots next year?
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see what it looks like.
It's just me saying, you know what? Hey, there's a couple games that you won this past year that you lose next year. That's all.
Yeah, we'll see. I got to see the draft class and the free agency, see what the roster looks like, and we can go from there. But yeah, they'll be a good team, right? Like no one expected them to be a good team this year. I thought 9 wins, and then next year we'll see. And instead, they went out there. They've won 16 games so far this year, and by all means, let's carry on.
Just just keep moving forward, keep your head down, and just keep going, just keep trucking along. The other thing though, just like I said, just going back to this weekend though, it's the fact of just if you're a Patriots fan, just appreciate it. Just know that and I know everyone's going to say, oh, you had your 5 years of the window. For me, who's someone who's really been more in the limelight and felt a connection to this team more, when the Patriots were good, I didn't know who McGarvin was. I didn't know who half the people in Patriots lore were. I didn't really tap into Patriots Twitter until 2020, when the team was, for lack of a better word, in a little bit of a peril and a little bit of a funk. And through that,
giga ass.
Yeah, we were ass. And then since then, I've met you, I've met Pat, there's been Matt, there's been numerous people. Obviously, the squad goals relationship is something I've built that I'm very proud of. The 3 of us, whenever we come on here and chum it up and have fun. And it's something I'm going to relish in, is just the fact that in my 6 years of doing this is the furthest the Patriots have gone. We've had a lot of crappy conversations at this time of the year. 2 years ago, you and I were talking, and a girl with a Twitter handle of 2 E's and 2 R's, because, 1 E and 1 R was taken, decided to join in on the fun because I sent her an email. And then last year, what happened? We sucked again, and we were here talking about Mike Vrabel getting hired. Well, now he's the elder statesman in the NFC North and the NFC East by 10 days. This team is 2 wins away from knocking on the door of being the most winningest franchise in NFL history. I don't know about you, but I'm ready to tell you to go downtown to get those fucking duck boats ready.
By all means. Yeah, I think Pat's win on Sunday. It's going to be great.
On that note, did you know that Drake May is, I got to look up the stat, but when he is, so it's 5.5 points right now is the spread total. So 5.5 points. I want you to keep that number in mind. Because with Drake May, when he is a favorite of -3 or more, they are 12-0 straight up, and they are 10-2 against the spread.
Wow. I did not know that.
I'm pretty sure one of those losses was the Falcons, and I think the other one was I think one of those may have been Vegas, or the Buffalo's about to pick them. I don't know, but I just know that I just think this is a game where, the world gets exposed to everything. And I'm also really glad that it's not Buffalo, because I don't think I could have taken 3 hours of Tony Romo just being like, wow, would you look at Josh?
Yeah. I think that's the biggest bummer of the Patriots being good again. It's just way more Romo than I care for at this stage.
It's only the second game this year they've had him, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I know, but we're going to be getting more Romo. We're going to get those slots, right? The 4 PMs, and we're also going to just end up getting more of the this is going to be a good game. Let's get the number 1 over there, and I'm like, ugh.
Fuck. Yeah, but it's better though than having it's better than having, the Spiro Adidas and Adam Archuleta calling the games.
I won't disagree there.
Yeah, but I actually had a schedule take I presented to Sophie a couple weeks ago that I knew she would hate, but I feel like it's going to happen.
What is it?
Chiefs, Patriots, and Arrowhead next Christmas Day.
That could be fun. Sure, why not?
I'm just looking at that. I'm like, yeah, that's a game staring them right in the face, and especially if I know we haven't spoken on here since Patrick tore it, but I just hate everyone making the Brady comparisons because it's like, oh, they both did it at the age of 30. Where I'm like, okay, great, but Patrick did his in December. Tom did his in September.
Yeah, literally week 1.
So with that team, like there's holes, but I think that they're gonna less more get exposed to, hey, what the Patriots did for 20 years was special for a reason. I'm not here to say Patrick's never gonna win another Lombardi. I think he will probably win another one. It's just I can see a world where there's that Brady-esque gap, where everyone starts questioning, will he ever do it again? And also, fun fact for him, he's never played, he's never been in the Super Bowl the same year Chris Collinsworth has been calling the Super Bowl. Fun fact.
That is a fun fact, and I would love to see that because Chris loves him some Patrick.
Yes, but he also loves him some Drake May, which we hopefully get to see again in 19 days from now in Santa Clara, California.
Lord willing. I think we will.
I think we will too. Gonna try to figure out what's going on with the show next. I am on vacation starting Saturday, but I am in Florida, so I have already told my wife, hey, the laptop and this microphone are coming with me because I'm going to be on standby, because I told her I don't care if I'm on vacation. If the New England Patriots do the damn thing and get to the dance, I'm finding a way to record something.
Sounds good to me.
Now that it's over, I didn't want it to be over. I was so looking forward to recording this show. McGarvin and I covered so many bases. We got to talk about the Patriots. It was an absolute blast, just relishing in this win, relishing in being where we currently are. 418 of these in the bag. It took 418 episodes to get to the Patriots playing in an AFC Championship game.
Jesus Christ.
Maybe it only I know. I've done this 400 damn times over a 6-year period, and we're finally playing for the Lamar Hunt Trophy after all that. What would you know? One of my favorite guys to have on here, McGarvin. I am Griff, and hope you enjoyed episode 418. 419, maybe one of the best episodes I've ever done to date. We'll see you then.
Bye.